Oh, beautiful! That just went so. We just need a little. We just need a little clap. We just need a little round of applause. This is our first DM check, and I'm just so excited. Um, if you're watching this and you're watching the video, and you should because our the editors do a beautiful job. You'll see there's four of us. Celia wanted to listen in. Celia is played by the lovely Mishi. Arnon Learstorm, who's played by Sage, is the editor and the sole person that posts videos of the campaign. So he's here to make sure we behave and to record. And I'm also joined by WeeWoo, who plays Casimir. WeeWoo's here because they're starting a little campaign of their own.
I
And so
am.
I'm going to be doing a little DM check-in for my campaign, but WeeWoo's going to be announcing the beginning of their campaign, which is even more special because theirs is homebrew. Mine's just from a fucking book. I'm just a cocksucker. Literally. But we'll get more into WeeWoo's campaign after the first bit of like my little DM check-in.
Yes.
So to start off, I have some notes taken about DM stuff. For what I'm preparing right now, things I've recently learned about DMing, tools and mechanics I've utilized, and challenges that I've been facing lately as a DM. As far as like what I'm preparing right now, it's mostly just like run of the mill, um, like individual stuff for each of the players so they can have a little more of their own story. I have a couple of side quests that I'm working on to add a little more fluff to the campaign so we're not getting right into the like main story content. Because like we could start the main story now and it could kick off now. But like I want to have everyone's character explore a little more and we still have some like early level stuff since we're still only level 2 to work on before we get into the main campaign, like meat and potatoes. Things I've recently learned about DMing is how difficult it is each session to like make sure everybody's engaged and keep everyone's like excitement at the same level. Cause some people, I mean, like just in my group specifically, like I could talk about my other groups on top of this, but with this group with WeeWoo, Sage, Mishi, and JoJo, who isn't here at the moment, he's playing Overwatch. Um, like something I've learned about them is all four of them are like at different levels of excitement about their character, and that's not to say like anybody doesn't care, but like Sage and WeeWoo both like day in and day out will send me stuff about their character to like update or things they want to touch on, and I think that's lovely. Jojo also cares a lot about his character's development, but he's less endgame and he's more what he wants to have Nyx do in the moment. And same with Mishi. Mishi's character is very new to the campaign. They've only been with us for a couple of sessions. So I mean it makes sense why they're not like super far into their story and like what big evil bad they want to interact with the most, or even like what they want like the end of Celia to look like as far as like Princess of the Apocalypse goes. Um, but I still want to keep despite that, I still want to keep everybody to the same level of engagement because it's hard. It's hard to gauge whether or not people are like looking forward to the next session as much as the other person is, and that's the case that I want it to be. So every session is like a little bit of a balance between like how do I keep somebody whose character they haven't like been touching on a lot during the week before the session just as excited as like somebody who's like who I know is gonna have like a major moment happen. Like WeeWoo's character Casimir just met like a childhood best friend and like a family guard who's like a big part of. I'm not gonna like spoil too much because I know WeeWoo has like some stuff planned, but like he is a part of like Casimir's backstory, and so I want like him to be excited, but Like I want everyone to be on like that same level, and it's a hard balance. As far as like tools that I'm utilizing, um, I mostly use like it's a little silly, but I mostly use Reddit, like like the DM Academy, because it's got a lot of useful insight into like what DMs do for their players, and it's got questions for people like me who are like pretty new to it. I have had a couple of groups before, but I'm not experienced by any means. And this is like the first group that I've had that's really into like the campaign and their characters. And so like you making sure that I keep up with, what other DMs are doing as far as new ideas and new ways of utilizing like tools. Like I use a lot of like D&D Beyond and like Roll20, even though we don't really use it for like the campaign, I still use some of their resources just because it helps me keep myself up to date with like all the new shit. Because if at any point like D&D Beyond starts like sucking really bad, I don't want to stay on there and make everyone like use the same jank software if there's something better. I also use like random generators, like name generators and like map stuff like that, just so I can, because I mean there is like online resources for Princes of the Apocalypse, but I also enjoy including my own little side stories and stuff like that. Like the Lich that they faced way back in like session 3 um wasn't supposed to be like a major player, but I really liked his character concept, and I really like the concept of like bad guys that come back later. And so I ended up getting like a bunch of extra resources and throwing it in there just so that they could have more to do with that character so he didn't just have like one moment and then he's gone. Um Aside from like DM stuff, there's like stuff about the campaign itself, like core concepts, um, unique elements that I like to use in the campaign, and like my prep process. Um, there's also like the setting, but I'll save that for like questions that Sage got for us from some of his friends because they were wondering about the campaign. Core concepts, without giving away too many details about Princes of the Apocalypse, is like high fantasy, conspiracy, um, like action between like groups that have active conflict, and suspense. Those are like the big core concepts of Princes of the Apocalypse. At first, I thought it was about like devils, but it's totally not. I got it wrong. And I can't give away too many details without saying just that, but like just high fantasy, conspiracy, suspense, and action. It's pretty much Princes of the Apocalypse put in a little box. Um, Unique elements that I like to implore, for at least the way that I play D&D is the rule of cool is very special to me. If if the players can like come to a conclusion on how to solve a puzzle and everyone's for it and they come up with a really special idea, I want that idea to work. And if it's plausible and they can explain how they can do it with the resources they have and the spells that they have and whatever it is that they have stocked, I'll let it happen. If
Shield
it's super
slide.
dope, then like, I'll give out advantage or inspiration, and I haven't had much of a chance to do that yet. But like the shield slide was like a really big rule of cool moment. I honestly could have had everyone take like a fucking like 66 bludgeoning damage from falling, but I just loved the idea of everybody piling on a tower shield and sliding down a steep ramp, and then like the big paladin catching everybody with his spear. That was just dope as fuck. It was a really cool explanation and I wanted it to happen. And so I gave a kind of just a bullshit off the top of my head roll and let them do it because I wanted it to work. Um, my prep process is pretty awful. I'm like chronic procrastinator. And so anything to do with prep for sessions comes down to reading a bunch, stressing about it, and then last minute throwing together. And it's worked so far. I mean, like the session coming up is going to be pretty important as far as like story moments go. And so I've put a lot of prep into it as far as like reading from the book and implementing my own resources because I want things to happen that the book doesn't have. But I still want the book's story to show through because I do like where the story goes. And so I want it to happen. Like I want the things that I'm planning to have happen next session happen without giving too many details away since I have like 3 of my players in the call. Um, but the way that I make that happen is I read a lot from the book. I think I just pour over all the resources that I have and outside of Princes of the Apocalypse. And then I just draw lines. It like if you've ever seen a picture of one of those like really fucked up like obsession charts where it's like all the red string tied around, it's that. That's what I do every session, but I do it in one night. And so it's all very last minute. And it sounds stressful, but I love it. I love every second and like the reactions of my players to the things that I do and say mean everything to me. And that's just kind of the one moment that I hang on to, and that's what gets me through it. Important moments to recap before I get to like the questions from people watching or starting to watch, like friends and family and coworkers and stuff like that. So far everyone's pretty like it's probably only been like 1 month since the characters have found themselves into the Desert Valley and into Red Larch. Before I get into recapping, I should probably give the setting. Right now they're in the Desert Valley, which is just north of Waterdeep, which is on the Sword Coast. All of this takes place on the continent of Faerun, which is like the big area that D&D 5th edition takes place. And it takes place on other continents and other places. But if you were to go to a D&D 5th edition source book and you went, "Oh, I wonder where this happens." 9 times out of 10 you'll probably find it in Faerun, which is just like the the main continent. It's where all the big evil things normally happen. It's kind of like New York in Marvel. It's just where all the bad guys are. Um, so up until now, everyone's kind of found themselves in this little hill valley of Faerun. It's kind of like the fuck. It's kind of like the what's it called? It's like the Rocky Mountains of Faerun. It's kind of just a hilly mountainy area. Um and they don't know too much information yet outside of some things are happening that aren't supposed to be happening in Faerun, like the weather's changing inexplicably. Disease is kind of uh falling on like the town that they're in unexplicably, and and some of them have come up with a couple of theories so far. They've also encountered a powerful necromancer that turned himself into a lich, which is who's still in play. And they haven't run into him yet, but they had a couple moments, surrounding his presence. Um, and one of the and just to like wrap up the recap stuff, one moment that I really liked in the last couple of sessions is how everyone reacted to seeing like the future of the Desert Valley. And again, they don't have like context, so they don't know what that future means, but they saw Red Larch burning to the ground, and they figured out that the dungeon they were in was kind of presenting them with these alternate realities to the place they find themselves in now, and then they went back to like the big, like Red Larch, and that's like the town they're staying in, and everything's fine, and then Casimir came face to face with, a familiar face to him, and then the session ended. Um, and just the reactions to those big reveals always kind of stick with me. Um, And then the shield slide was really cool too. I referred to that earlier, and that was just a really unique solution to a puzzle I gave them, and I really enjoyed it. To wrap things up before I pass things to WeeWoo, I'll answer a couple of questions that Sage gave me. Um, one of the main ones was just who the people are in the campaign. There's Mishi who plays Celia. There's Jojo who plays Nyx. There's Sage that plays Arnon, and there's WeeWoo that plays Casimir. And every session, at least I tried to make it every session, we rotate and somebody gives a fun fact about their character. I don't remember who it's supposed to be next session. I think it's going to be Sage, but um, eventually it's going to all compile and there's going to be like a bunch of fun facts about each character, which I think is going to be super dope. Um, One of the questions was, is there lore needed? And I don't really think so. I mean, there's the setting, which is, Faerun, and then the Desert Valley, and then Red Larch, and that's like the main spot that everything's happening right now. Um, you don't really, unless you know a lot about the Princes of the Apocalypse, it's just, it's a high fantasy D&D campaign. There's not too much lore needed other than, what the characters themselves are involved in. It's kind of hard to summarize everybody's story since everyone has so much invested into each character. And there's like previous episodes where we kind of delve into everyone's lore just a little bit. Um, and then that kind of ties into the next question, which is like lore about the characters. Everyone's character is very custom built. Nobody like quick built their character. Everyone was like sat down with and characters were made and backstory was fleshed out and it's part of the reason I'm as invested as I am because everyone's character is just so special. Like everyone's character has just so much thought put into it from the moment we start, like from the moment that we mentioned like the campaign starting. People have been working on the characters, which was like months ago. And so all the characters just have a special place in my heart, and I know that they all mean a lot to all of their players. Um, and so I mean, I guess it would have to be like a whole separate video because I don't want to prattle on about each person's character because I could, but this video would be a lot longer than it probably needs to be. So everyone's character is very fleshed out, but as far as the campaign goes, there's not much lore needed. It's kind of just you'll get it as the story develops scenario because I don't want to spoil things for my players. And that's it from me. I'm gonna open the stage up to WeeWoo. WeeWoo, if you can feel free to take over, and I'm gonna mute myself and go clean my damn bathroom.
All right. So, hi everybody. My name is WeeWoo. This is going to be my first time DMing. I've always thought about DMing. I've always had ideas in my head, and I'm super excited to like actually finally have a group that is as passionate about D&D as I want, and I am. Um so my campaign is called Shadows of Eldamar. It takes place in a completely homebrew world based on Faerun, so it has kind of the same, rules about life as Faerun does. But um it will like the campaign will be taking place on the continent of Eldamar, of the world Kadros. Um my players, I've told them this already, have like I am telling them that they are starting in the capital city of Sindrel. I don't want to give away too much about my campaign because, again, we haven't started. We haven't even had session 0 quite yet, so I don't want to give away too many of the things, but I can talk mechanics here. Some of the questions were like, what prep am I doing? So much. Because my campaign is completely homebrewed, I am thinking of so many things, trying to map out what the plot could be based on the stories that like come in with the players. um, and what recently I've learned about DMing is honestly just how fun it is. Like, I've always kind of thought the idea of building a story and having characters basically like play this, that you get to build their story, is so interesting and so fun. and it's just been an amazing experience that's really helpful with like my creative process. For building the world specifically, I've been using a whole bunch of different tools, mechanics, all kinds of things. I mainly use this program called Obsidian. It is wonderful for writing and making sure that there's like no plot holes, and there's this grid that I use that kind of like webs everything together to show how everything is connected. It's been great to help me organize my thoughts. For maps and stuff, I've mainly been using it's called Incarnate online. It is a beautiful map building website that just has so many things where you can build your own custom world and add like mountain ranges and stuff to give a wonderful world map. And I have been building this big world map. It's been driving me crazy. There's so many things to add to it, but it's really fun. Um, and honestly, the biggest challenge that I have found as a DM has been trying to just get all my thoughts together. I have so many ideas for side quests and dungeons and like the big bad evil guy and all of these things that I'm like, I could do this, I could do that, I could do this. Which it's been difficult to try and narrow down things to make it so it's not just all over the place. Um, so again, I don't want to talk too much about my campaign because I don't want to spoil anything for any of my players. But there are like the core concept is honestly just adventure and having fun. I mainly want to be here so my players can tell their own story and just guide it. I, as the DM, I'm of the belief that I am telling my players how the world will react. So their actions have consequences. If they say this to an NPC, like what would they say? Rather than being like, okay, you go here and you do this. It's just like, so what do you do? And then if you do this thing, the world reacts. So it's kind of like I am the world that they will be playing in, and it's really interesting. Um, my prep process, honestly, I don't really have a process. I've kind of always just been in my head about so many things that I've always wanted to do with it. Like if I was a DM, I would do this, this, and this. And so honestly, it's just been trying to like get it out of there. Just get it out of my head, which has been so so fun. Um that's kind of all I have because again, I don't want to spoil anything, but just expect a lot of it's role play heavy, exploration heavy, just again, just a story that I get to tell with friends, and I'm so very excited for it. That's kind of all I gotta say, and I hope you enjoyed listening. I don't know if Nard has anything else that he would want to say or anything.
I ran the back. I ran this back so fast. That was wonderful. I don't really have anything. I kind of just prepped notes and that's all I have ready. But I don't know if you're listening to this. Thank you for listening. If it's just, family, friends, coworkers, all that, hi. Hello, hello, hello.
Yes, thank you for
Um,
listening.
I think that's all we got. Sage, do you have anything?
No,
No.
nope. I'm
Okay,
just
that's
holding the
it.
camera. My shoulder's getting tired.
All
Oh,
right,
well,
well,
it's
we'll
just.
just finish up so you
Oh,
can
this
put
is
that
just
one
so
big show.
beautiful.
Oh, everyone just big perfect. Big round of applause.
Yay!
Somebody
Just
unmute
big round of
Celia
applause.
so she could say bye.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes. Oh, she is unmuted.
Oh, what do you want to say?
Bye, 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 bye.
Oh, bye
Bye
bye.
bye, bye bye, bye bye.